Welcome back. What do you make of all the revelations that are emerging about the funds from the Office of the National Security Advisor?
Well, it's a bit confusing to people of my generation. We didn't have all that kind of money to throw around, and people were fairly frugal and did their best to save government money, not to distribute money anyhow. Two, there was always a strict adherence to the purpose for which money was voted. You had your head and your subheads of the votes. People controlled it. True security can be a bit diffused. But even in spending money on security, you should be as cost effective as possible. It's early days yet. I mean, we are getting more revelations. But if money was released for a purpose, it should not be applied to other purposes. There must be votes for doing some of the things they did. But you hear about money being released to purchase arms, and then from that amount, some money is being used for some other purposes. What I would say is that up till 1975, before the old civil service was destroyed, every department, every ministry had to produce an annual report which said this was our estimated revenue, this was the actual, these were the projects we were meant to do, these are the projects we achieved, these are the ongoing projects. Since 75, with the destruction and the purge of the service then, there are no such annual reports. You must oblige people to account for what they are supposed to do. Monitor them in order to maintain discipline and to maintain performance. We must go back to that.
Before I leave the issue of security, one of the most opaque subheads in government expenditure is the security vote. Can that be made more open to scrutiny, and should it?
It's a delicate matter because when you talk about security votes, this is from the vote in which you pay for some intelligence information you must get. It's the vote in which you probably have to do things which, strictly speaking, else in countries are extra legal. You know, the point is that very much depends on the commitment of the people giving orders to patriotism, the commitment to exalting the Nigerian state, the commitment to basic ethics of honesty and transparency, and the commitment just in your own person. You don't spend money, your income, throw it away. You try to use it as frugally as possible. And if there is that commitment, you don't spend money which you don't have to spend, you know, and it is not a source of bonanza, you know. I think those are the attributes we must try to get back, and in that context, make sure that what we vote for security is really what is needed for security, and not that we are putting into security vote money to pass on to something else because strict accounting. You can't have too strict accounting. You can't come to the public and say, even American democracy, we are going to spend so many billions because we want to spy on the embassy, of a country we think is not friendly to us. You know, the freedom of information and all that stops at a point. There's a point where the security of a nation cannot be on the pages of newspapers. You know, so it's going to be in the end our rulers and our politicians discovering the ideals which make a nation great and which make good governance sustainable.
Now, what do you say to those people who say that the anti-corruption fight is selective?
Well, in this country these days, if you catch one thief, he says you didn't catch other thieves. We are early days yet. The president has said it's for everybody and not for anybody. What is important is if somebody is arraigned, let us presume he's innocent. Let him go and clear himself. And they cannot say, yes, the other people in another fence who did the same thing. If he knows them, yes, let him spill. But what I would expect the presidency to do is friend or foe. When your name is mentioned, let us presume you're not guilty, but go and clear yourself before the tribunal.
Now, how best can the Nigerian government handle the agitation for the new Biafra?
Well, actually, what does the new Biafra mean? Some boys, I see what they look like on TV. Obviously, not gainfully employed. Obviously, probably one or two not employable. And they've gone on to this, saying Biafra, Biafra. Yes, you can talk Biafra. But when one of them was asked to define Biafra, he included parts of Koji and Urobo land who said they are not. Even me from Asaba, we are not Biafra. I believe certain things have gone wrong in the country. The deterioration in education and not spending enough money to make quality education available to even the poorest person, not spending enough money to develop skills, human development, not paying enough attention to remuneration. So my attitude, my approach in the Biafran case is to call their leadership, talk to them. What is it you desire? And this is my appeal. Igbos, Eastern Igbos, as they call Igbos now, they must dialogue with the rest of Nigeria, find what is possible. You know, and this takes me back. I'm not an advocate of, I'm sold on Renaissance Africa. So I cannot contemplate this little bits of territory inhabited by 5 states saying they want to become sovereign in 21st century. So this delusion, there is no future to a landlocked group of people. So, but if it is question of access to education, access to health, access to power, basic transportation, communications infrastructure, let us have a vision 2030 or 2040 for Nigeria, which delivers it everywhere. I think the elderly people from the East, particularly the Southeast, have a duty. They cannot repeat the mistakes of 1967 to 70. So my appeal to those leaders is, please, there is no future in atomized states. And by God's grace, and by British not going too far in dividing us, the French didn't forgive them. They thought they should have divided Nigeria too, like they did. We are left with this combination of population and resources under black people, which can be globally significant. And I owe it as a grandfather to my grandchildren that we shouldn't do things which will make them become economic fugitives.
Chief Philip Asiodu, we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we thank you for watching. Please join us next time when View from the Top returns. But between now and then, do let us continue this conversation online at channelstv.com. And do follow me on Twitter at ModellySY. I thank you again and wish you a good day.